Okay guys, so on this worksheet, 4.3 WSP, we're doing the same exact thing as what we were doing on WSPM. Again, you always have to pay attention to the instructions. Right here it says write an equation in point-slope form. So what are the two things that you need to write an equation in point-slope form? You obviously need a point and a slope, correct? Yes. Usually I represent slope in blue. Okay, so let's really small right next to the word point slope, let's actually write down the point slope form equation. By the way guys, 3 questions on the test Friday will be write down your point slope form equation, write down your slope intercept form equation, write down your standard form equation. So they're all on the wall right here. However, they will not be on the wall on Friday. I'm going to erase them. So yeah, by Friday you have to have all 3 forms memorized and very familiar with all 3 forms. So back to the worksheet. So point slope form, let's write down what point slope form is. It's kind of like slope intercept. It starts with y, but instead of y equals mx plus b, we're going to have y minus y1. Now I want to change the colors so you could easily see where the point is and where the slope is, equals m times parenthesis x minus x1. So this is our point slope form equation. This is what we need to have memorized. Okay. So on any one of these questions 1 through 6, you need to take the point and you need to take the slope and write it in point slope form. Now keep in mind guys, this is the easiest thing, Eddie, that I could possibly ask you to do. Well, actually, probably giving you the M and the B and telling you to write it in slope intercept form, that's probably easier. But right here, I give you a point, I give you a slope, I'm asking you to write it in point slope form, it's super easy. Now, like, let's do number 2. I recommend writing your point slope form equation over again, but with blank spots. So I would write y minus blank spot equals blank spot parenthesis x minus blank spot. And then you plug in your missing values. So obviously right here is y1. I want to put a y1 right here. So here's your x1, y1 value. So negative 6 goes right in here. So negative 6 goes right in there. The m is negative 1. And the x1 value is 1. And that's all. No, wait, actually you could change the minus to plus plus, and that is your point slope form equation. Y plus 6 equals negative 1 times parenthesis x minus 1. So this first section is cake. This next section, I give you an equation in point slope form, and I ask you to change it to standard form. You know what? Let me ask you this. What form is this in? We need to change it to standard form, but what form is it in right now? It's in point slope form, right? So it's crystal clear that it's in point slope form. Now, what is the slope? If I asked you what the slope is of number 7, I don't really ask you on the homework, but right now in class I'm asking you, what's the slope of number 7? M equals what? M equals what? Now, what is the slope of this equation that's obviously in point slope form? What's the slope of this equation? 3, right? So, okay. Slope is 3. What if I asked you for what is a point on the line of this equation? A point is an x value and a y value. Do you know an x value and a y value from number 7? Yes. What's the x and y value?
2 and negative 11.
Okay. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. It's actually positive 2 and positive 11. Okay. Now I know you guys are thinking, wait a minute, isn't it supposed to be negative 2 and negative 11? x1, negative 2. You see, the thing is, you see how the original form has a minus in front of the y1 and a minus in front of the x1? So when you look at this x1 value, you're really only looking at this part, which is just a 2. Or you could think of it this way, because there's a minus, you could take the sign in the front and call it a negative 2, but you want to think opposite because that minus sign really means to think opposite. So that x value is really positive 2, and again, the minus 11 is really going to be a positive 11 when you think about the coordinate. That's kind of confusing. Why am I throwing this out at you today? Because tomorrow we're going to start graphing point slope form equations. And you have to be able to find the point, but you got to think opposite of what you actually see there. So instead of a -2, it's a +2. Instead of a -11, it's actually a +11. Okay, so that's not even asked of you right now. The only thing they ask of you is to change it to, what is it, standard form. Okay, so we definitely need to know what standard form is. Let's write it down. It's capital AX plus capital BY equals capital C. And Chris, why are they capitalized again? To help you remember what? No fractions, no decimals. Perfect. All right. So anyways, now that we know we want it in standard form, number 7 is definitely non-standard form. It's in point slope form. And standard form doesn't have parentheses. So I need to get rid of these parentheses by distributing the 3. So 3 times x, that's positive 3x. 3 times -2, that's -6. Bring down the equal sign. Bring down the y, the minus, and the 11. It's almost in standard form. I just need to move this 3x over to the left side by doing the opposite of it. 3x take away 3x is 0x's. And when you do to one side, you do to the other side. Take away 3x over here. Obviously, you cannot subtract y take away 3x. This is the reason why we're going to rewrite it. So I'm going to rewrite it with the x term first. Negative 3y with the negative 3x. That's just disgusting. I need to fix that. So negative 3x plus y minus 11 equals -6. And of course, you want to get the number negative 11 over to the other side to have the capital C on the right side only. So you're going to go plus 11 and plus 11. So your final answer in standard form is negative 3x plus y equals 5. One more thing, guys. If you don't find this on your multiple choice final, why is that? What are they going, or how? What other way could they give you this standard form equation? Positive what? Positive 3x. What else? Minus y equals -5, right? Like I said, they will not write the a value negative. They're going to change all the signs, multiplying everything by -1. So that becomes a positive 3, that becomes a -y, that becomes a -5. This is the way you'll probably see it on the multiple choice final. With the positive a value. So these guys down here are pretty easy as well. Write it in slope-intercept form. Shall we try 19 or no? Do you guys want to distribute the 3/2 or get rid of the 3/2 temporarily? Distribute the 3/2? If I distribute 3/2, 3/2 times x is 3/2 x. If I distribute 3/2 times 4, put the 4 over a 1 and then think, what is 3 times 4? And it's going to be over 2 times 1. So 3 times 4 is what? 12. So you have plus 12 over what? Over 2. Now, is the fraction 12 over 2 nice or is it ugly? Nice. Why is it nice? Because 12 divided by 2 is? That's right. So let me rewrite the whole thing. I have y minus 5 equals 3/2 x plus 6. Is it in slope-intercept form? No, I need one more thing. What do I need to do? Add 5 and then I'm done. Plus 5 here, plus 5 over here. Final answer, slope-intercept form equation is y equals 3/2 x plus 11. We're done. So I do want you to practice this whole entire worksheet. I only did a couple of them here. All this stuff you probably will see on the test Friday. And I also want you to go back to worksheets 4.2, and I might as well explain that on the next video.